A pleasant good afternoon and welcome to Weiger-Schaefer Memorial Stadium on the campus of McKeesport High School in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. I am Adam Gusky. To my right is Fred Guy. And this afternoon, your Woodland Hills Wolverines take on the McKeesport Tigers in an old-fashioned rivalry matchup on a Saturday afternoon. The atmosphere here is absolutely spectacular, and Fred, we expect a great football game between two old rivals, not only coaching-wise, but football-wise in this non-conference matchup.
Yeah, there's been a lot of epic battles between McKeesport and Woodland Hills over the past over the past 26 years with these two programs, especially with these two coaches. Coach Novak has been the only coach Woodland Hills has ever known, and he's gone against Coach Smith for the first 5-10 years that the program was in existence, usually on Saturday afternoons, either at the Wolverina or sometimes here. So it should be an exciting matchup between these two teams.
Oh, I know a lot of folks are excited about this on both sides. Woodland Hills looking for their first win of the year after the mild upset, losing to Upper St. Clair a week ago. Meanwhile, McKeesport got their first victory of the season under the new George Smith regime, a big win over Hempfield on the road.
Yeah, it might be the new George Smith regime, but it's still the same old George Smith offense, a flexbone, wishbone type offense with a lot of running game and very little passing in this offense.
200-yard rushers. They've got a lot of things to worry about, do our Wolverines. They've got a big front as well. Do the McKeesport Tigers captains meeting out at the midfield stripe at this point. Our referee is Bill Heidkamp and the rest of his crew. And, it's good news anytime you can see Bill Heidkamp out there, one of the best officials in the WPIAL, and he'll be reffing our game today. But our focus really is on the Woodland Hills Wolverines and how they are going to be able to respond after a roller coaster performance last week, especially Harry Randall, who's still trying to get his legs under him, coming off of an injury from last year.
Yeah, and this is the first year that Harry Randall is a quarterback. Typically, he's been a wide receiver, slot back, running back in this Woodland Hills offense. Now he has control of the offense, so he needs to make sure that he's buckled down and doing what he needs to do to keep drives alive and put some points on the board for the Wolverine offense.
Well, while we do have to worry a little bit about Harry Randall making an adjustment, it seems like Miles Sanders just kept things rolling from a season ago. He left the WPIAL championship game with a neck injury, but with just 11 carries against Upper St. Clair, he had over 100 yards last Friday night.
Yeah, and he sustained a mild injury that obviously he shook off and wasn't a constant factor in the second half, and he just keeps doing a good job in terms of getting the ball down the field for this Wolverine offense.
Another issue is the offensive line for the Woodland Hills Wolverines. Are they going to be able to keep McKeesport at bay? The Wolverines do have some experience and some younger players along that front, so that's an adjustment that Woodland Hills is going to have to make as the game goes on, because McKeesport has that unique mix like the Wolverines do of both size and speed.
Yeah, I thought the Wolverine offensive line gelled together very well in the second half. They got off to a rocky start in the first half, but once they got a couple series under their belts, they seem to be progressing very nicely.
Woodland Hills will kick off to begin this football game from left to right across your radio dial, television screen, or internet browser. McKeesport will be returning from right to left. Kicking off for the Wolverines is Donald Cassidy, and back deep to return for the McKeesport Tigers, number 2, Reginald Smith, and number 4, Alan Wright. And what a spectacular atmosphere it is here at Weiger-Schaefer Memorial Stadium. It's homecoming for McKeesport, and they are also celebrating the return of the 1994 and 2005 WPIAL and state championship teams. And Fred, we have a little bit of experience, don't we, against that 94 club?
Yeah, I was a starting linebacker on the 94 Woodland Hills team that faced one of the best offenses and defense I've ever seen on a team anywhere.
Billy Isper at quarterback was spectacular, and of course Brandon Short on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, back then he was a man-child. He was a man among boys as a senior in high school. He did a great job for the McKeesport Tigers.
And we are underway in McKeesport, PA. The kick carries down to the 4-yard line where Alan Wright will be on the return for the home team in blue, and right into open field. He's brought down right around the 36-yard line. The ball comes loose, and there's a scrum for the football at that 36-yard line. White jerseys and blue jerseys in a pile of humanity, and it will be McKeesport ball as the Tigers got back on top of it. Smith fumbled it, and then it is recovered by David Brown Hatcher, and it will be 1st and 10 for McKeesport at that 36-yard line.
Yeah, and I thought this kick return by McKeesport was going to set them up in a good situation to start this game, but I mean, fortunately for McKeesport, they were able to get the ball back, but that just shows that they have the tendency to fumble at key situations in this game.
Well, here comes the flex bone. Stepping under center is Dave Queen, 127 yards a week ago. The handoff will go to the fullback, straight up the gut goes Mikkel Moore. Moore over 100 yards a week ago as well. He surges to the 40-yard line before being driven back, and it'll be second down and about 7 yards.
And having firsthand knowledge of this McKeesport offense, it doesn't look like anything has changed. They basically run about 5 plays out of this offense. The dive for the fullback, option left and right, and they have a double dive. And occasionally they'll throw a pass in there, but that's very, very rare.
Queen stepping under center again. Woodland Hills with a 3-man defensive front. And a broken play. The pitch will go to Allen Wright, and Wright is met in the backfield and brought down by a pair of Wolverines. On the tackle, Deshaun Osbrooks also in there on the stop for the white and turquoise today is Diamond Johnson.
The one thing I noticed, Adam, is that Dante Broadus doesn't seem to be in the starting lineup. I'm not exactly sure why that is. It looks like he's in street clothes today. Like I said, I hate to speculate, but it just doesn't look like he's in there. He's going to be playing today.
Loss of 1. It's 3rd and 8. Ball at the 39-yard line. Play signaled in from the near sideline as Queen steps under center. Motion man from left to right. The handoff will go to Moore. He'll drive his way forward across the 40, maybe to the 42-yard line before he's brought down by a gang of Wolverines. Gibson in there on the tackle. So is a Kyra McLean. And a pickup of just 3 in a punting situation for the Tigers.
And that's a great job by the Wolverine defensive line to come in against this tough, big McKeesport line and get a good stop on their first series.
Sanders back deep to return the punt. Looks like D'Angelo Fields is the punter. No, it is number 5, Tywan Smith, who has the snap. Slide through his hands. The Wolverines pick up the football. Chris David had it, then lost it. Then it comes loose to the ground. There's a scrum for the football. And if the officials say that Woodland Hills gained possession, then fumbled it, if McKeesport gets it back, it will be Tiger football. But that is to no avail because the fumble by Chris David is then picked up by DeJean Brown, who had some huge special teams plays a season ago, comes up with that loose football, and it's Wolverine ball at the 12-yard line. 1st and 10 for the black and turquoise at the 12.
Yeah, the snap was high on that last play. A little mismanaged by the punter. He did his best to get back there and try to corral it, but the Wolverine special teams unit just was too fast, got to the ball very quickly, and put Woodland Hills in a prime situation to get some points on the board early.
So the bad snap sails over the head of Tywan Smith, and it's ultimately recovered by DeJean Brown at the 12-yard line, where it's 1st down and 10 for the Woodland Hills Wolverines. And yet again, the Woodland Hills offense forced to use a very early timeout before their first offensive play. So there's 9:48 to play on a scoreless first quarter. We're going to take a break. Back in a minute. You're tuned in to the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network. And we welcome you back to Weiger Schaefer Memorial Stadium in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. Woodland Hills 1st and 10 at the McKeesport 12-yard line with 9:48 to go in the first quarter. Pistol formation. It's Sanders behind Randall as a motion man goes from left to right. Handoff. Sanders dancing his way forward inside of the 10, inside of the 5, down around the 2-yard line. This should be close to 1st down yardage as there was a gaping hole between the tight end and the tackle.
Yeah, and Miles Sanders just picked his spots as he's going through the line. He saw some openings, got through those openings, and everyone sits there and they talk about Miles Sanders and how fast he is, but he is a very tough runner inside the tackles as well.
Gain of 9 for Sanders, 2nd and 1 at the 3. Clock rolls down towards 9 minutes to go in this scoreless first quarter. Pistol formation again. Randall takes the snap, hands off. Sanders drives his way forward, close to 1st down yardage, and it'll depend on the spot. The officials say it's 3rd down, a gain of about a half yard, and it's 3rd and short for the Wolverines with the ball inside of the 3.
And the one thing I've noticed about Miles Sanders on these first 2 plays is that he's dancing a little bit in the holes. He's not really hitting them as hard as he normally does. McKeesport's defensive line did a great job. McKeesport's defensive line and linebackers did a great job of sealing or shutting down any running lanes that Miles Sanders might have.
Pistol formation again with Sanders behind Randall. One receiver to the near side right in Chris David. Double tight end formation. Snap a little low. Randall hands off. Sanders trying to bounce it to the outside. Slips past the tackler into the end zone. He lost the football, then fell back on top of it. And it's a Woodland Hills touchdown for Miles Sanders. And the Wolverines are out on top 6-0 with 8:25 to play in the first quarter.
Yeah, Woodland Hills is turning McKeesport's miscues into points very, very early. Luckily for Woodland Hills, Miles Sanders was able to jump on that ball because as soon as he got across the end zone, the ball squirted out, but he got back on top of it.
Randall on to hold for Donald Cassidy on this PAT attempt. Jimmy Rooney, the long snapper. Snap true, hold down, kick up, and that kick is good. And with 8:25 to play in the first quarter, the scoreboard reads Woodland Hills 6 and McKeesport 0. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network. Snap by the McKeesport Tigers, recovered by Dejon Brown at the 12-yard line, and 3 plays later, it's Miles Sanders into the end zone for Woodland Hills touchdown. You tack on the PAT for Donald Cassidy, and the scoreboard reads 7-0. Woodland Hills on top of McKeesport here at Weiger Schaefer Memorial Stadium. Adam Gusky and Fred Guy on the call, and an efficient first drive for the Wolverines, 3 plays and a TD.
Yeah, and that's the type of drive that the Woodland Hills Wolverines needed coming out of last week's game. Into this week's game, they just need to, stay efficient, get some first downs, and then put the ball into the end zone.
And Cassidy on to kick it off. Again, back deep to return. Reginald Smith and Allen Wright. This is a bouncing kick that'll be returned from the 25-yard line, and one of the upmen for McKeesport on that return. It's number 19 on the return, and that is Joshua Reist. And it'll be 1st and 10 for McKeesport, ball at the 40-yard line.
And that was a good job by the Woodland Hills special team coaches to swib that ball as opposed to the first kickoff where they booted it downfield and, almost had one run back on them. So good adjustment by the coaches.
So 8:19 to play in the first quarter. McKeesport with the ball just shy of their own 40-yard line. Woodland Hills in a 3-man defensive front. 2 wings. And a setback behind the quarterback in Dave Queen. Long count, handoff will come to Allen Wright, and Wright is met at the line of scrimmage and taken down there by a gang of white jerseys. Now at the bottom of the pile for Woodland Hills is Dejon Brown, and it is 2nd down and 10 for the Tigers.
Yeah, Woodland Hills right now is just keying on the run offense of McKeesport. They really don't have too much fear in terms of the passing game right now, but McKeesport's sneaky like that. They can put one up real quick and get some points off of the pass. 2
receivers to the near side. A wing to the right of the quarterback, Queen. That wingman motions from right to left. The handoff will go up the middle, and Michael Moore, the ball carrier, brought down after a gain of about 2 to the 42. And it is 3rd down and 8 for the Tigers. 3 carries, 8 yards for Moore, and a timeout is taken by the McKeesport Tigers. George Smith is hot, and he has given his team an earful. Again, the score is 7-0. Woodland Hills on top of McKeesport. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network. 7 minutes and 26 seconds remain in the first quarter as Woodland Hills leads McKeesport 7-0. The Tigers at their own 42-yard line face a 3rd down and 8. George Smith gave his team an earful during that timeout. And Woodland Hills comes out of the huddle. 3-man defensive front. Wing to either side behind Queen. Queen on the option to the near side. He will pitch it off. And the ball carrier is number 21, Kalik Hudson, and Hudson into Woodland Hills territory. Finally brought down at the 39-yard line. A big pickup there for the McKeesport Tigers. From the 42 to the 39. It's a pickup of 19 yards, and it's 1st and 10 for McKeesport.
It looks like McKeesport's going into a no huddle, which George Smith loves the no huddle offense, get things rolling. Don't get the defense a chance to make any adjustments.
And Queen's going to step under center. Hudson, the wing to the right. The setback is Michael Moore. And they're going to run an option to the right this time, and Queen is brought down. Knifing through blockers and making the play for the Wolverines is Devin Nixon, the defensive end, at 6 feet and 195 pounds, a loss of 2. And it's second down and 12 from the 41.
Yeah, and Queen had no time to get that pitch off. If he would have, probably would have been bouncing around in the backfield somewhere. But Devin Nixon, like you said, made a great play of just knifing down the offensive line and making a nice tackle in the backfield for a loss.
Queen calls out the play from the line of scrimmage, eye backfield behind him. Hard count, bobbles the snap a little bit. He'll pull the ball out of the belly of the fullback, and Queen will keep it himself down the left hash, and he's brought down after picking up a first down to the 27-yard line. A pickup of 15 there for the Tigers, and they are rolling.
And that was a great individual effort by Queen on that play because, like you said, Adam, he bobbled the snap. The cornerback took out his pitch man, and he just turned it upfield, bounced, broke a couple tackles, and got himself a first down.
So Queen's going to step under center. Double tights. Eye backfield, one receiver to the far boundary right. Queen hard count, right tackle moved early though. And the false start will be assessed to Cameron Bostic, 5'11", 205 on the right side, and that'll move the Tigers back 5 yards. So 5:51 to go in the first quarter. It's still 7-0. Woodland Hills on top of McKeesport, but the Tigers threatening a little bit inside of Wolverine territory, facing a 1st and 15 at the 32.
And some of these miscues by McKeesport giving Woodland Hills time to change out their defensive line and linebackers to get them a fresh breath of air.
Tigers out of the huddle, again a double tight end formation. Receiver to the far boundary right in Kalik Hudson. High backfield. Queen, long count again. And the handoff will come to the near side, dancing his way forward and deep inside of Woodland Hills territory, still driving his way down towards the 12-yard line is the ball carrier in number 6, Carlos Hudson. And it's 1st and 10 for the Tigers. They're going to say at the 13-yard line. So a pickup of 19 there for Hudson, and that's the second 19-yard gain on this drive.
And give a lot of credit to the offensive line of McKeesport because they're just putting a hat on the hat right now and just clearing the way for these McKeesport running backs to make significant gains.
Now wings to either side. One back set behind Queen, one receiver to the far boundary. Movement early again, and again it will come from the man at the end of the line on the right-hand side. And it's Cameron Bostic again with the false start. That'll move the Tigers back from the 13 to the 18-yard line.
You know, despite the McKeesport offensive line, they're not very big, so to speak, in terms of weight-wise. They're doing a great job of just speed. They're very fast. They're extremely agile and can get to the second level very quickly on this Woodland Hills defensive front.
One back set. Queen sends a man in motion. He will hand off, and that's Michael Moore, the ball carrier, and Moore drives his way forward to the 15-yard line. Gain of about 3, and it's second down and 12. 4 carries, 11 yards on the ground as Eggleston makes the tackle. For Woodland Hills, Jimmy Eggleston, 6'2", 285, transferred in from North Carolina, and he is a man amongst boys at times.
Yeah, he's doing a great job so far on the defensive line and offensive line for Woodland Hills.
Queen going to step under center. Receivers, 2 to the right. Wings to either side as well. And the handoff will go inside. And the ball carrier, Michael Moore, again driving his way towards the initial line of scrimmage and beyond. Down towards the 12-yard line where it'll be 3rd down and 9 for the Tigers.
And again, I thought Cameron Bostic might have moved a little bit early on that last play. He seems to just be timing the snap as opposed to just, hearing it in the huddle.
So Queen will step under center. Wing to his left is Hudson. To his right is Kalik Hudson. Hard count by Queen. Straight drop back. Passing situation. He's going to dump it into the end zone, and it's just a bit strong for Kalik Hudson. Pressure applied by Devin Nixon, and the incomplete pass brings up 4th down and 9 with the ball at the 12-yard line, and it's decision time for George Smith.
And this is where the passing game can get a little sneaky for the McKeesport Tigers. They just basically slipped that wing out, and he just ran a seam route, and the ball was just slightly overthrown by Queen, but nice touch in terms of that pass.
So the Tigers appear like they are going to be going for it here on 4th down and 9 at the 12-yard line. 10 seconds remain on the play clock as Queen steps under center. Wings to either side, receivers to either side, one setback behind Queen. Some movement before the snap, no whistle blows. Pitch comes to the near side, and into the end zone will go the McKeesport running back, number 21, Kalik Hudson. And he appeared to be hemmed in initially, but was able to make some moves, drive his way to the near boundary and into the end zone. And McKeesport is the PAT away from tying this one.
Yeah, these running backs from McKeesport are just as shifty as the guys from Woodland Hills. They can make plays in the open, make people miss, and they just did a good job of just finding the open seam and getting themselves into the end zone.
So let's see what McKeesport will do here. They will try the PAT. And it's Michael Moore who will attempt the point after touchdown. Moore appears to be a toe kicker. Snap, bobbled, kick, goes awry. No, it won't go awry because the snap was so low that it wasn't handled by Dave Queen. The Wolverines stymie that point after touchdown and will head to the special teams play up by 1, 7-6 with 3:20 to play in the first quarter. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network. And we welcome you back to Weiger Schaefer Memorial Stadium in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. McKeesport on the board, but still trailing Woodland Hills 7-6 after a bad snap. Dave Queen couldn't hang on to it, and Michael Moore not able to kick it away. The Wolverines make the special teams play for the second time today and retain the lead at least by 1 for now with 3:20 to play in the first frame.
Yeah, and if this game stays close, that's what this game could come down to, is special teams. The missed snap, the botched hold on the PAT could cost McKeesport some points at the end of this game.
Woodland Hills now looks for a bit of a more sustained drive offensively. They started their first drive with the ball at the Tigers' 12-yard line. This time maybe a different story depending on where the Wolverines are able to return this kick.
Yeah, Woodland Hills always does a good job in terms of punt or kickoff return. So, any field position at this point, Woodland Hills just needs to keep the ball, keep the clock moving, and get some points on the board at the end of this drive.
Taiwan Smith kicking this one off for the Tigers. It will sail over the head of the Woodland Hills return man, Art Tompkins. It'll carry into the end zone. It'll be 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills. Well, we said it just a minute ago, Freddie. Woodland Hills was 12 yards away from pay dirt on their first drive. This time, 80 yards away.
And this Woodland Hills offense isn't really known for its passing game as much as it was last year. So Woodland Hills, in terms of just holding the ball, keeping the ball secure, keeping the fumbles, to a minimum, and just keeping this McKeesport defense on the field as much as possible is going to help them out tremendously.
So after a nearly 5-minute drive for McKeesport, it's now 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills with the ball at their own 20-yard line. 3-man front for the McKeesport defense. Shotgun formation with sidecars to either side next to Randall. Hard count and some movement along the defensive front for McKeesport, and I think this will cost the Tigers 5 yards. Nigel Henderson was one of the sidecars next to Randall as well as Sanders, and the offsides against the defense moves the Tigers back 5 yards, and it's 1st and 5 for the Wolverines at the 25.
Yeah, the offensive defensive lines for McKeesport seem to have an issue with following the snap count, watching the ball. There's been two, I've seen 3 false starts on the offensive line, and now this is the first offsides by the defensive line.
Now one sidecar to the right of Randall. It appears to be Tompkins as now Sanders will motion into the formation. He'll take the handoff on an end around. Slides away from tacklers. Near sideline 30, 35-40, 45-50, 45-40, 35-30, and forced out of bounds inside of the 30, right near the 29, make it the 28-yard line. A huge pickup there for Miles Sanders into Tiger territory.
Yeah, and Sanders picked up an excellent block by a wide receiver. I can't tell which one it was, but as the McKeesport defender was looking to come in, he just picked up an excellent block, and it was actually sprung him for a tremendous gain.
47-yard pickup for Miles Sanders, and Sanders now up at 59 yards rushing. Big play there for Woodland Hills, covering 47 yards and taking the ball to the McKeesport 28. Sanders stays in. He will be the sidecar to the right of Randall, trips to the near side right. One receiver to the far boundary left. Sanders will take the handoff, drives his way forward, down towards the 30-yard line before being pushed back by a gang of blue jerseys. It'll be second down and about 9 for the Wolverines, just a pickup of 1 there for the Woodland Hills offense.
And this Woodland Hills offense is a read option offense with quarterback Harry Randall being as athletic as he is. The one thing I've noticed is he has not carried the ball yet today, which is very rare because at this point in the game last week, he probably had at least 4 or 5 carries.
He went into halftime with negative yardage, negative 19 in fact, but picked up about 60 yards in the second half, but 2 crucial fumbles.
It's like the old days.
And Randall's going to throw to the far boundary. It's caught by Trayvon Mathis, a Woodland Hills first down inside of the 15 to the
Listen, in pregame, he can float the ball 40, 50 yards down the field, and he just threw a strike to Trayvon Mathis for a first down.
Pickup of 13. It's 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills at the 14 of the McKeesport Tigers. Clock winds down towards 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. The Wolverines looking to build on a 1-point advantage. Pistol formation. It's Sanders behind Randall. Receiver split to either side. Sanders takes the handoff. Has a little bit of room between right guard and right tackle. Drives his way forward inside of the 10-yard line, close to the 9. And that brings up second down and just about 6 for the white and turquoise.
Yeah, and give a lot of credit to that last play for the Woodland Hills offensive line. They just pushed the McKeesport defensive line and linebackers back at least 4 or 5 yards before anybody could get to Miles Sanders.
Jimmy Rooney's got a heck of a task on his hands, facing big Jason Chavis. Chavis at 6'4" and just under 300 pounds. And he's been lining up over the nose for every play thus far defensively for the Tigers. Again, the pistol, one receiver to the near side right. It's going to be Randall keeping it to the far boundary. Dances away from a Tiger. Still on his feet inside of the 10 to the far boundary. And they are going to say he pushed his way forward to about the 8-yard line. So a pickup of about 2. Makes it second down and 5.
And it's
third down and 5, rather.
Just as I mentioned, Harry Randall not running the ball, that's exactly what he does. He just, read the defensive line, defensive end, felt he had a better chance of getting some yardage on the outside, but a great job by the secondary linebackers of McKeesport to shut him down.
So it's 3rd and 5 for Woodland Hills. Harry Randall, his first carry of the game, a 1-yard pickup. Shotgun formation. It's Tompkins to the left of Randall. Randall looks to the right, throws to the right. It's complete. Chris David with a Woodland Hills touchdown. A very simple play, a little pass to the inside. David made one move towards the post, and the pass right on the spot by Randall, and Woodland Hills is on top 13-6 with just under 30 seconds to play.
Yeah, great job by Chris David of elevating to get that ball into his body as it was coming into him. But Harry Randall, like I said, just took one step, made it look easy. Another 3-step post, touchdown Woodland Hills.
Cassidy on to attempt the PAT out of the hold of Randall. Rooney, the long snapper. Good snap, good hold, good kick. And the kick is wide to the left.
Conversion is no good.
So it's 13-6 with Woodland Hills leading the McKeesport Tigers with just under 30 seconds to play. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network. And we welcome you back to Weiger-Schaefer Memorial Stadium in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. Woodland Hills stretches their lead back to 7 points, 13-6 on an 8-yard touchdown pass as Harry Randall found Chris David on a post route into the end zone. But unfortunately for the black and turquoise, the PAT attempt sailed wide left, and the lead stays at just 7.
Yeah, and that's a very unusual miscue by the kicker. I mean, to be honest with you, I thought the snap was a little low. Harry Randall did a great job to get it down, but if you're not in a rhythm as a kicker, your timing gets thrown off, and then anything could happen from there.
So McKeesport will take over again. The ball gets blown off of the tee. Actually, a huge gust of wind. We could feel it through the open door to our left-hand side. And Fred, while we have this few seconds, what a terrific atmosphere it is here at McKeesport.
Yeah, it seems like people are still fouling in. It's almost the end of the first quarter. People are still coming into this game because it's a big rivalry game for both of these teams.
And it's homecoming for the Tigers. Cassidy booms into this one end over end, and it'll sail through the hands of a Tiger around the 2-yard line and into the end zone for a touchback. And for the second straight week, we see a touchback from Cassidy.
As you mentioned, that big gust of wind, I was looking at the flags at the post to our right, and they are blowing very nicely. So, once Cassidy put a foot to that football, it was a little wind aided as well.
13-6 Woodland Hills on top. 1st and 10 for McKeesport. Ball at their own 20-yard line. Good to have you along with us all across the Woodland Hills Football Network, on the radio, on television, or on the internet. And as always, we have coverage on all of our affiliates. Beautiful day, 74 degrees and sunny here in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. Queen steps under center. Double wing formation, one back behind him. The handoff will go to that setback, and that is Sean Lou Gilmore. And Gilmore, maybe a half a yard, brings up 2nd down and a long 9 for the Tigers.
And Woodland Hills is doing a good job of keeping their defensive line and linebackers fresh, and they're rotating in some younger guys, some guys that haven't had a lot of playing time in terms of the varsity level. So Woodland Hills is doing a good job of rotating these guys and getting some fresh bodies.
Well, with Solomon and McLean, those are starters that only run one way, so that makes things a little bit easier on that defensive front. And one of those young players we're talking about is Joel Shaw, a long-armed sophomore who was out there for that play, and that is the final play of the first quarter. We head to the second quarter with Woodland Hills leading McKeesport 13-6. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network. And we welcome you back to Weiger-Schaefer Memorial Stadium, where Woodland Hills leads the McKeesport Tigers 13-6 as we are set to begin the second quarter in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. It's 2nd down and 9 for McKeesport with the ball at the 21-yard line, and so far Woodland Hills has made some advances offensively, but McKeesport has done their best to answer back, Freddie. Yeah,
McKeesport's doing a great job in terms of just ball control, sustaining drives, just keeping the Woodland Hills on their toes in terms of running the no-huddle offense and just making plays as they need throughout the course of the game so far.
Let's see what Woodland Hills can do here as McKeesport faces a 2nd down and 9 with the ball at the 21. Queen stepping under center. Eye backfield behind him. 3 receivers to the near side right. Hard count by Queen, going to run the option. He will pitch it off. The ball carrier is Allen Wright to the near boundary up towards the 30-yard line. 1st down yardage and more as he is brought down at the 32. And the Wolverines not with great contain there on that option.
What makes this option offense very potent, especially when they get to the outside, is the blocking of the wide receivers. Number 5, Smith, on that last play had a tremendous block on the cornerback to spring his running back for an extra 5 or 10 yards.
So a pickup of 11, and it's 1st and 10 for McKeesport with the ball at their own 32. Queen stepping under center with an eye backfield behind him. Tight ends to both sides, and a receiver to the far boundary along those numbers. Hard count by Queen. Run comes to the near side. The Wolverines sniff it out quickly. The ball carrier is Reginald Smith, and Reggie Smith hit hard at the line of scrimmage. Deshaun Brown in on the tackle, as well as Trayvon Mathis. And the sophomore, Joel Shaw, I think, was in the mix as well.
He was. He just made a nice play of getting rid of his blocker. Trayvon Smith actually did a great job of fighting off the pulling guard or tackle on that last play to help finish out that play.
Reginald Smith, the setback again. in the I formation. Queen's going to keep it on the option to the far boundary. Smith on the cutback, has room across the 35 and brought down near the 38-yard line. So a nice pickup on 2nd and 10. A pickup of about 5 yards brings up 2nd and 5.
Yeah, and again, the wide receiver to the left side of the offense for McKeesport did a great job of containing the cornerback for Woodland Hills. It wasn't able to shed his block, which helped the running back get a couple more yards on that last play.
Queen will step under center. Wings to either side. 2 receivers to the near boundary right. 3rd and 5. They're going to run the option to the near boundary. The pitch will go this time to Carlos Hudson. First down yardage and more as Hudson is tripped up, kept his balance, and finally stepped out of bounds along the near boundary at the 47-yard line. And it's 1st and 10 after a pickup of about 10.
And McKeesport's going right back into the no-huddle offense, not giving Woodland Hills any chance to change out personnel.
41 yards on the ground as well as the touchdown thus far for Carlos Hudson. Queen gets the signal from the near boundary, halfway through the play clock. Wings to either side as Hudson steps in. He'll send a man in motion from left to right. Queen's going to keep it himself. Fakes the pitch, steps up forward, and he is brought down as he crosses the 50 into Woodland Hills territory to the 46-yard line. Tackle on the play made by Wilford Clark. Clark, who saw a lot of action as a freshman a season ago, a co-starter, if you will, along the defensive front this year for Woodland Hills.
Yeah, and Queen could actually have gone either way on that last play because the cornerback on this side, Trayvon Mathis, actually bit on the fake to the fullback, which left him out there on an island by himself. Queen decided he wanted to just tuck the ball up and run and try to get that first down.
7-yard pickup for Queen. 2nd and 3. Queen pitches far boundary. The ball carrier, Kalik Hudson. Hudson escapes one Wolverine but cannot get past the second. It's a pickup of 2. And there's a flag on the play as well. The flag came from behind. The tackle by Woodland Hills made by Jihad Brown.
10 yards, 45. Holding on McKeesport is called.
So the pickup was inside of the 45 to the 44, a gain of 2 for Kalik Hudson. And we'll see what Bill Heitkamp has to say. It's holding against McKeesport. That's going to march them back 10 yards from the previous spot. And that'll move the ball back inside of McKeesport territory to the 44-yard line.
You know, just when things are going right for McKeesport, they kind of shoot themselves in the foot, you know, with these penalties. They've had several penalties on offense already, you know, with one, you know, the one defensive penalty they had was only for 5 yards, but this 10-yard holding penalty is really going to hurt them.
2nd and 13 for the Tigers at their own 44. Clock rolling down towards 9 minutes to go here in the second quarter. Woodland Hills up by 7. Queen with wings to either side. Drops back, looks to pass, throws it across the middle. The pass is caught on the run by Taiwan Smith, and Smith eludes one Wolverine, and into the end zone he will go for a 56-yard McKeesport touchdown.
Yeah, Adam, as I was watching that, you know, the pass route develop, they really didn't do too much in terms of crossing or posts or any A routes or anything. They just ran straight right down the middle. All 4 receivers ran right down the middle of the field, or right, I guess, seam routes for them. And the quarterback really just threw the ball up into the air and hoped somebody was going to catch it.
Smith was there to reach out, grab a hold, and race to the end zone. And a PAT away from tying this game again are the McKeesport Tigers. So 1 rushing touchdown and 1 passing touchdown for both teams thus far today. The one for McKeesport that went in the air a bit more spectacular as it covered 56 yards. The PAT is up, and that PAT is good for Taiwan Smith, who not only ran for the touchdown, he kicks the PAT, and we're tied up at 13 with 8:48 to play in the second frame. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network. And we welcome you back to Weiger Schaefer Memorial Stadium in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. The McKeesport Tigers have tied the game on a 56-yard touchdown pass as Dave Queen found Taiwan Smith for the TD. Smith then came back out onto the field, kicked the point after touchdown, to tie the game at 13-all. And that Donald Cassidy missed extra point looms larger now, Freddie.
Yeah, and with Tywan Smith actually now being the kicker, I'm assuming for McKeesport for the rest of the game, it looked like he's pretty consistent in terms of his field goal. So let's just hope that Cassidy miscue doesn't come back to hurt the Wolverines.
It'll be Tywan Smith kicking off for McKeesport with the ball at their own 40. Back deep to return Miles Sanders in the midst of two others. The ball to the near sideline. It will bounce out of bounds. Fortunately, Woodland Hills had no white jerseys near the football. McKeesport nearly came out of there with it. But fortunately for the team in white, and for you Woodland Hills fans, tune in across the Woodland Hills Football Network. It will be 1st and 10 for the Wolverines with the ball at the 37-yard line.
Yeah, the Tigers taking a little bit of the playbook from the special team coaches of Woodland Hills are coming back with a squib kick after getting some momentum on that touchdown. And Akira McLean was the closest person to that ball, but he was actually running in towards the field, the middle of the field, to start his blocking process, and just didn't completely miss the ball coming towards him.
So again, it's Woodland Hills with the ball at their own 37. Had the ball carried past the 35, Woodland Hills would have got the ball at the 35, but since it rolled out of bounds on the other side of the 35, it's where the ball goes out. So it's 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills at their own 37, 8:48 to go in the second frame. Sidecars to either side of Randall, Henderson, and Sanders. Randall, design keeper. It took a long time for him to make a decision, and that allowed Michael Moore to come in and make a big tackle in the backfield. A loss of 4 yards on that play brings up 2nd down and 14 for the Wolverines.
Yeah, Michael Moore didn't read anything. He just saw Harry Randall with the ball, went right after him, made a nice tackle in the backfield for, which puts Woodland Hills in a, 2nd and long situation.
Looks like that may have been Nigel Henderson's assignment to pick up that defensive end, and he did not. Again, sidecars to either side of Randall on the 2nd and 14. The handoff to Sanders, pushing his way forward, keeps his balance across the 35 up towards the 40-yard line. A nice pickup for Miles Sanders of 7 yards, and it's 3rd and much more manageable. A 3rd down and 8 for the Wolverines with the ball at the 39.
Yeah, I don't know why Woodland Hills isn't blocking Michael Moore at this point, because he's been very disruptive on these last 2 plays. He was actually in the backfield and had a handle on Miles Sanders in the backfield before Sanders was able to break free for a nice gain.
The Woodland Hills getting the personnel they want on the field as Sanders checks to the far sideline. Staying in is Nigel Henderson. And I think Woodland Hills is going to call a timeout. I don't think Coach Novak liked the way his team was headed with the play clock winding down. With 7:23 to play in the second quarter, we're all knotted up at 13 points apiece. You're tuned in to the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network. Seven minutes and 23 seconds remain in the second quarter. The game tied up at 13-all. Adam Gusky and Fred Guy on the call, all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. So the Wolverines face this 3rd and 8 at the 39. Shotgun formation, trips to the left. Hard count by Randall. Switches his feet. Throwback screen, and a nice job breaking on the ball by James Wyatt. It certainly looked like the Tigers were anticipating that throwback screen, Freddie.
Yeah, and that's something we haven't seen in the first first game and a half from the Woodland Hills Wolverines. But Wyatt stayed at home, didn't read into everything, made an awesome play to bat that ball away from the wide receiver.
We saw the throwback screen one time a week ago. That was late in the game as the Wolverines were trying on that desperation drive with just under 2 minutes to go. It went for big yards, but not enough to win the game. Randall stands at his own 26. A little bit of a high snap. Will step to his right, booted away. Low end-over-end kick will carry to Allen Wright, who picks it up around the 27-yard line. Allen Wright drives his way forward across the 45 towards the 46-yard line before Akira McLean makes the tackle. And it'll be 1st and 10 for McKeesport at the 45, and it seems like the McKeesport Tigers have a lot of the momentum right now, Fred.
Yeah, they're just doing a good job in terms of offensively moving the ball down the field, making some nice passes, which, like I said earlier, they don't do very often, but they're sneaking these passes in against the Woodland Hills defense. They're running the ball and blocking very well and just being efficient in terms of their offense right now.
Tigers out of the huddle. First and 10 at their own 45-yard line. I backfield behind Queen. Reginald Smith dots the I. Double tight end formation. The handoff will go to the fullback, driving his way forward, Sean Lou Gilmore. And Gilmore a pickup of 5 to the midfield stripe.
It looks like Miles Sanders is coming into the game to play some safety for the Woodland Hills Wolverine defense.
Coach Novak talked about it before the season. We were going to see Sanders on both sides of the ball. Randall with that knee injury, while he is better on defense, is needed for offense, and until he gets to be 100%, don't expect to see him a ton on the defensive side of the ball. Wings to either side behind Queen. Queen with a hard count. Runs to his left, pitches to his left. The ball carrier, Allen Wright. Wright across the 50 and brought down around the 47-yard line. A Wolverine loses a helmet, and it'll be 3rd and short for McKeesport. Losing his helmet is Mike Nash, defensive back and wide receiver for Woodland Hills. And it is 3rd down and 2 after that pickup for Allen Wright.
And I thought that play was actually going to go for a lot longer, but 2 Woodland Hills defenders, Nash and Diamond Johnson, closed on the running back very quickly.
Nash lost his helmet. He has to sit out for a play. One receiver to the near side right. Wings to either side, 3rd and 2. Tigers have been dangerous on 3rd down. Motion man from left to right. The ball carrier is Sean Lou Gilmore, and Gilmore inside of the 40 to the 38-yard line. And it is 1st down and 10 for McKeesport.
Yeah, McKeesport's not doing anything fancy, folks. They're just taking the ball, doing a little bit of trickery with the fakes, but they're just running downhill right now against this Woodland Hills defense. And a Woodland Hills defense that looks a little tired right now.
3 carries, 15 yards thus far for Sean Lou Gilmore after that pickup of 9. 5:33 to go in the first quarter. Or in the second quarter, rather, as McKeesport comes to the line of scrimmage. Motion man from right to left. The pitch will go high, but it's gathered in by Kalik Hudson, and Hudson down the far boundary has a lot of room. He's finally forced out of bounds, but not before he gets inside of the 25 to the 24-yard line. Credit the tackle to Art Tompkins, but great hustle by James Eggleston, and Eggleston really tattooed the ball carrier at the end of that play.
Yeah, he did, and that was a great job of the running back, and just actually corralling in the football after what could have been an errant pitch by the quarterback, Queen.
13-yard pickup there for Kalik Hudson, his 2nd carry of the game. He now has 32 yards. Hurry up offense here for the Tigers. One receiver to the near boundary right. As Queen steps under center with an I backfield behind him. He'll put the ball into the belly of that ball carrier, Michael Moore, and Moore drives his way forward, is met by a lot of resistance by Woodland Hills, but not before picking up 5 yards to the 19-yard line.
Man, Michael Moore is an actual do-it-all kind of player for this McKeesport Tiger team. Not only is he running the ball on that last play, but he's made some nice defensive plays against this Woodland Hills offense.
18 yards on the ground thus far for Michael Moore. He has the most carries for the Tigers. He's lined up at both tail and fullback. Queen steps under center with an I backfield behind him. Just under 5 minutes to go here in the second quarter. Woodland Hills and McKeesport tied at 13. Ball goes away from the formation to the far sideline. Woodland Hills sniffs it out quickly. Not much room there. The ball carrier is Carlos Hudson. And I think it was Trayvon Mathis on the tackle for Woodland Hills. Dan Gibson also in there on the stop for the Wolverines.
And just as you mentioned, Dan Gibson, looks like he was hobbling over to the Wolverine sideline. Let's just hope he gets back in the game very soon, because that defense definitely needs him right now.
42 yards on the ground today for Carlos Hudson. He leads the way for the Tigers. It's 3rd and 4. Again, a dangerous 3rd down for the Wolverines. McKeesport's been super efficient in 3rd down conversions. Queen will hand off. And the ball carrier driving his way forward. Picks up 1st down yardage and more to the 10-yard line. The line to gain was the 14. He gets to the 10. It's a pickup of 8. And the ball carrier again was Kalik Hudson, I believe. I'm not sure if it was Hudson or if it was Michael Moore. Let's give it to Moore. So he now has 26 yards by my account. 3:40 to play. First and goal for the Tigers. Ball at the 10. Queen pulls the ball out of the belly. The ball comes loose. Woodland Hills stripped it away, but Queen came back on top of it. DeJean Brown trailing the play, hacked at the football, big tomahawk chop at it, and as the ball squared loose, McKeesport fell back on top of it. Loss of about 2, I do believe. The ball's at the 9, excuse me, so it's second and goal at the 9. So a loss of 1 on the play for Queen. And we see McKeesport driving the ball forward, and again it's Michael Moore inside of the 5. Leading the way was the center, Jalen Short, 5'9", 250. He hit a Woodland Hills defensive back like a ton of bricks to pick up a 5 there.
Yeah, if Woodland Hills can get a stop on this play and put McKeesport to a decision in terms of special teams, that's going to bode well for Woodland Hills.
We saw McKeesport with a touchdown on a 4th down situation down near the goal line earlier today. It's 3rd and 4, ball at the 4. Handoff will go to Michael Moore, and into the end zone he will go for a touchdown. And Woodland Hills trails McKeesport 19-13 with 2:08 to play in the second frame.
Yeah, like we said, McKeesport's not really doing anything in terms of trickery. They're running their offense, but they're running it to perfection at this point. Just picking up, yardage on, especially on 3rd down. They've been, like you said, super efficient in terms of 3rd down, and just finding ways to get the ball across the necessary yardage that they need to just sustain drives.
And McKeesport's going to take a timeout here. I think they want to talk things over as far as whether they want to go for 1 or 2. And with 2:08 to play in the second quarter, Woodland Hills has a little bit of an uphill battle to face. And, it's tough sledding for Woodland Hills as they go on the road here. A terrific atmosphere, not accustomed to Saturday afternoon games. A huge crowd, not in their favor. A lot of things going against Woodland Hills, but when you're a top-ranked team headed into the season, Freddie, you need to respond.
Yeah, you really do. I mean, I went to the last scrimmage against Erie McDowell. I felt that they were a little flat. They were very flat coming out against Upper St. Clair. It's just, really right now it's gut check time. Even though this is a non-conference game, this really doesn't mean anything in the standings. These are momentum builders that you need to get through the rest of your season with. Starting here with McKeesport, been nice and a great atmosphere in terms of 2 old rivals. They just need to find something deep down in themselves to get them in a situation that they can start winning ball games.
When this may not mean anything for the Southeastern Conference standings or the Foothills Conference standings, it means a heck of a lot for playoff standings down the line. Should both of these teams qualify, and they likely will. So on to attempt the point after touchdown is Taiwan Smith out of the hold of Dave Queen. Smith 1 for 2 today in PAT attempts. Bad snap cost him the first. The snap is true, the kick is up, and that kick is good. And with 2:08 to play in the second quarter, it is the McKeesport Tigers 20 and the Woodland Hills Wolverines 13. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Tigers all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. (20-13), Woodland Hills trailing the McKeesport Tigers with 2:08 to play in the second quarter. And McKeesport has scored the last 2 times they've had the football. A 56-yard touchdown pass as Queen found Taiwan Smith, and this time a 4-yard touchdown run for Michael Moore, their leading rusher. The PAT by Smith up and in, and it's 20-13, McKeesport leading Woodland Hills. And again, the Wolverines face a deficit.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It's interesting to see what's going to happen over the last 2 minutes and 8 seconds of the first half. As we saw last week, the 2-minute offense for Woodland Hills wasn't very efficient.
Chris David leaps up, grabs a hold of the football, steps out of bounds along the near boundary, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills at the 30-yard line. Again, McKeesport not kicking deep, trying to keep it away from the dangerous return men that stand back near the 10-yard line. So with 2:07 to play in the first half, Woodland Hills is 70 yards away from trying to tie this football game.
In this first half.
Well, Fred, how large may that missed PAT from Donald Cassidy loom later on this afternoon? We have yet to see. But right now it could be pretty big. Harry Randall with three receivers to the right, one to the near side left. Randall looking left the whole way for Trevon Mathis, and the ball is nearly intercepted. Mathis had to turn into a defensive back to keep it away from Khalik Hudson. And there's a flag down in the Woodland Hills backfield. And I think it's going to be a hold against the visiting Wolverines. And I think it's going to be 5 yards from the spot of the foul. So this will end up in a 15-yard penalty for the Wolverines.
Yeah, I like the faith that Kerry Randall has in Trayvon Mathis, but I don't like the faith when you're triple covered and you're eyeballing your receiver straight down the field with your free safety roaming over to potentially make an interception.
All right, Freddie, 3 blue jerseys in the vicinity, and Randall forced Mathis to turn into a D-back. He was a good D-back, to say the least, but you certainly don't want him to do so. So it's now 2nd and 25 for Woodland Hills with the ball at their own 15-yard line, 2:03 to play in the second quarter. Woodland Hills needs a big play offensively right now. It should be 1st and 15, not 2nd and 15. Randall sends a man in motion from left to right. It is Miles Sanders. He is hit. He is dropped 2 yards deep in the backfield, and that'll bring up 2nd down. After the loss of 1, actually, for Harry Randall. Lots of blue jerseys in the backfield there.
That was a 10-yard penalty, correct?
It was a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, though.
Okay.
The foul occurred at the 25-yard line, so it was 10 yards from there. And so it's now 2nd and 26 for the Wolverines with the ball at the 14-yard line and 90 seconds to play in the second quarter. Receivers, 2 to the near side left, 1 to the far boundary right, sidecars to either side of Harry Randall. Hard count by Randall. Play coming to the near side. The ball carrier, Art Tompkins. Tompkins across the 15, brought down around the 17-yard line. Just a simple counter play. Saw 2 pulling linemen coming to the near boundary. A pickup of 13 there for Tompkins on his first carry.
Yeah, I actually saw James Eggleston getting up a little slow. I'm not sure if that was because of cramps or a muscle strain, but Woodland Hills can ill afford to lose him at this point.
So Woodland Hills is trying to kill the clock here as much as they are trying to get a first down. 2 seconds on the clock, and Woodland Hills, I think, is going to use their final timeout. And with 35.7 seconds to go here after this play is over, Woodland Hills will be able to kill the clock unless McKeesport uses their final timeout. But right now, Woodland Hills is 22 yards away from a first down, and they are a long way, as a matter of fact, 82 yards away from a touchdown here at Weiger Schaefer Memorial Stadium. And Fred, right now Woodland Hills really needs to get something going offensively. They have grown stagnant after scoring on their first 2 possessions.
And they should be very fresh because this McKeesport offense has held the ball pretty much the entire second quarter. They've done a great job of just, running down the clock, eating up some yardage, and just getting themselves into the end zone when they can.
So Woodland Hills on a timeout here. They do want to kill some clock. McKeesport has a timeout, though. Should McKeesport use that timeout after this 3rd down play, the Tigers will have one last opportunity to try to get at the end zone when this timeout is over. Tigers right now with this 7-point lead over Woodland Hills. Woodland Hills comes straight from the sideline to the football. Harry Randall with a sidecar to his left and Nigel Henderson. 2 receivers to either side. Randall pumps, goes down the far sideline. Chris David has it, first down yardage, trying to elude a tackler but cannot. But Chris David with a huge pickup to the 45-yard line. And that is a pickup of 25 plus 3, 28 yards.
And that was a great job of Woodland Hills on that play call. As what they did is they had the 2 sidecars do a flare, which held their safeties a little bit, which gave a one-on-one advantage to Chris David. And like we said, Harry Randall can throw the ball around the lot. It makes it look easy, and he did on that last play.
Clock is stopped with 28.2 seconds to go. And Woodland Hills has an opportunity to come to the line and snap the football. I'm not sure why the officials did not run the clock here after the ball was set. That should have been the situation. Snap. Bobbled by Randall. He gathers it back in, steps up, throws down the near sideline. Mathis had a step on his man, but the pass well too strong. And with 22.1 seconds to go, Woodland Hills will have another opportunity with the clock stopped. And George Smith wants to know why the clock wasn't running. A lot of fans wanted to know the same.
I believe what I'm hearing is he actually went out of bounds. Chris David went out of bounds on that last play.
From our angle, it certainly didn't appear that way. So it's second down and 10 after the incomplete pass by Randall, his second incompletion of the day. Randall's 3 of 5 for 49 yards. Chris David with 2 of those catches for 36 yards and a touchdown. Woodland Hills to the line of scrimmage. Shotgun formation, sidecar to the left of Randall. Twins to either side. Play action. Randall steps up, hit hard by a trio of blue jerseys, and he will be brought down at the 40-yard line. Carlos Hudson in on the play, as well as David Brown Hatcher, and that'll be the final play of the first half. Woodland Hills goes to the locker room trailing the McKeesport Tigers 20-13, and the homecoming crowd that has nearly filled this place to capacity is very happy with their home Tigers. Again, your halftime score 20-13, Woodland Hills trailing the McKeesport Tigers. Folks on the television side, we'll be right back with the second half. On the radio side, we'll be right back with the Woodland Hills Football Network halftime show. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network.
Sorry.
And we welcome you back to Weiger Schaefer Memorial Stadium on the campus of McKeesport High School in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. Folks on the television side rejoining our broadcast as we get set for the second half. And as we get set for the second half, Woodland Hills right now faces a 7-point deficit. It's 20-13. And Fred, as we were talking on the radio a few moments ago, a couple of things Woodland Hills needs to do. They need to stop the McKeesport offense. They're super efficient, and offensively, the Woodland Hills offense needs to become more efficient. They're getting some big plays, and we're seeing Miles Sanders get it done, but Harry Randall and Art Tompkins need to start to get things moving as well.
Yeah, once your main running back is the focus of your defense, other players have to step in, step up, make some plays so they can start taking some focus away from your key players and letting him do his thing.
Good news for Woodland Hills fans. The Wolverines get the ball to begin the second half, as it will be Miles Sanders standing back at his own 10-yard line, but we haven't seen McKeesport kick deep except one time. So we'll have to see if that strategy continues. And right now with Woodland Hills facing this 7-point deficit, I think this may be the most important drive of the game for the Woodland Hills offense.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like, McKeesport's probably going to squib kick it, so they're not going to get much out of Miles Sanders in terms of a return right now. So what they need to do is set up shop in good field position and just march the ball down the field. That's, as simple as it can be. That's what they need to do right now.
Taiwan Smith, again a low squibbing kick that'll bounce into the arms of Art Tompkins. Tompkins runs across the 20 to the 25, has some room, 30, cutting it to the far boundary to the 35-yard line, still on his feet to the 40, and out of bounds along that far sideline near the 42-yard line, and a big kickoff return there for Art Tompkins. We said he needs to be more explosive on offense. Well, he did it there, at least on the special teams.
Yeah, he made a nice play out of not a lot of room to run with. He just made a couple cuts, made some people miss, and got around the right side, and Woodland Hills is going to set up in good field position for this first drive in the second half, excuse me.
11:49 to play in the third quarter. Woodland Hills with the ball at their 41, not the 42. A very nice return there, covering 26 yards for Art Tompkins. Pistol formation with Sanders behind Randall. 2 receivers to the near side left. So movement along the offensive front, a very long count, and that forced Amon Baldwin Youngblood to lurch forward, the 6'3", 330-pound sophomore. And that'll push Woodland Hills back to their own 36-yard line, and Woodland Hills does not want to dig a hole.
Yeah, Woodland Hills has actually played a pretty low mistake in terms of penalty game so far. I believe this might be the first or second penalty they've had the entire game.
Wolverines out of the huddle. 2 receivers to the near side left, tight end to the right of the formation, 1 to the left as well. Sidecar to the right of Randall, I believe, is Sanders. Randall drops back, throws near side. Chris David has the football to the 40-yard line, to the 41, and up to the 42-yard line. It'll be a gain of 7, but it's 2nd down and 9.
You know, and these short out routes for Woodland Hills is going to increase the confidence of Harry Randall as a quarterback. We've seen him throw the ball down the field. We know he has a tremendous arm, but these short passes that he's completing is going to, like I said, build his confidence and make him a better quarterback as the season goes on.
David again having to leap up to grab a hold of that one. It's 2nd and 9 for the Wolverines after that pickup of 7. Shotgun sidecar to the left of Randall is Sanders. Double tight end formation, 2 receivers to the far boundary right. Hand off to Sanders, pushing it to the far sideline. Cuts it upfield. First down, or close to the midfield stripe, rather, as he crosses the 45 to the 47-yard line. And that's a pickup of 5, and it is 3rd down and 4.
And it's a great job of the right side of the offensive line and the wide receiver on that side. I believe it was Chris David, of just sustaining blocks to get Miles Sanders around the right side to pick up a 3rd and manageable situation.
10:35 as the clock rolls here in the 3rd quarter. Woodland Hills down by 7. 2 receivers to the near side left in David and Mathis. Pistol formation as Randall has 1 man behind him. Randall's going to hand off. I think it's Tompkins, the ball carrier this time. He'll drive his way forward, a pickup of just 2. And it's 4th down and 2 for Woodland Hills. And the punt unit's going to come on.
And it looked like there was a little uncertainty with Art Tompkins as he was going through the hole. It looked like he was stutter-stepping a little bit. Not sure of where, he could find a crease to get through the defense of McKeesport.
And Art Tompkins stands back as the punter on this play. So it's 4th and 2 for the Wolverines. We'll see if Tompkins boots it away. 2 men back for the Tigers. Snap high. Tompkins going to take off running, and he is brought down shy of the 1st down marker. The official along the near sideline had a great view of Tompkins' knee come down right around the 50-yard line. The ball had just crossed the 50, and from our vantage point, that doesn't look like it's enough for the 1st down. It's a turnover on downs, and it is 1st down McKeesport. Tompkins, with a little bit of hesitation as he got to the line of scrimmage, may have cost him that 1st down.
Yeah, I figured with Tompkins being back there, there might be a sure fake. With Harry Randall, you have a punt-run mix, but with anybody else back there, it was kind of obvious that it might be a fake. But great job by McKeesport's special teams to sniff that out and stop Art Tompkins just shy of the 1st down.
3 carries, 6 yards today for Tompkins. Had he got another yard there, it would have been a fresh set of downs, but just a yard shy of picking up that 1st down. So McKeesport has the ball 50 yards away from making it a 2-score affair. High backfield behind Queen. Queen keeping it on the triple option, and he is brought down 2 yards deep in the backfield. Woodland Hills did a nice job there of sniffing it out on the tackle. Devin Nixon also in on the stop, Jordan Lee.
The one thing I liked about Woodland Hills, right now is they're not really biting on the fakes. They have a good vision of the ball as it's going into the belly and coming out of the belly of the fullback, and they're just making good tackles in the backfield for losses.
Well, I'll tell you what, Fred, I haven't seen McKeesport since the 05 championship game, and it's certainly a lot easier to see from this vantage point lower and closer than it is in Heinz Field way up where we have to sit for those WPIAL finals. 2nd down and 12. Queen going to hand off this time. The fullback is Michael Moore, and Moore with a pickup of 3 inside of Woodland Hills territory to the 49.
Woodland Hills looks like they're coming out with a little bit of urgency on defense because they're actually hitting these running backs from McKeesport really hard, which is, they are always hitting hard, but it seems like they're going extra hard on these last couple plays.
40 yards on the ground for Michael Moore to go along with a touchdown. Two wings as Queen steps under center on a 3rd down and 9. He's going to pitch it to that far side. Cut back attempt. No dice there for Khalik Hudson. Tackle in the backfield made by Devin Nixon, the defensive end. A loss on that play of 7 yards brings up 4th down and long for the Tigers.
If there's one weakness that I've seen on this McKeesport offense so far has been the pitch play. I believe they've run it 3 times, and each time the pitch has been a little bit off target, going around either the left or the right side.
So Tywan Smith on to try to punt it away. This time the snap is true. He will get it away. Around the block of Trayvon Mathis, Harry Randall steps to the near side, then will get away from the football around the 21-yard line. Looked like Randall was going to try to break to the ball, but the ball bounced a little bit funny, and it will be down. It'll be 1st down and 10 for the Wolverines at the 21.
And that's the kind of stop that the defense needs going on in the for the first drive for McKeesport in the second half. They really didn't get much going. McKeesport didn't really get much going. Woodland Hills came out with a sense of urgency, and that's the momentum changer that they're going to need if they're going to continue to get themselves back into this ballgame.
Well, now it's time for the Woodland Hills offense to respond after the defense does their job. 7:30 to play in this 3rd quarter. Again, Woodland Hills with the ball at their own 21. Pistol formation with Sanders behind Randall and 2 receivers to the far boundary. Tight end to the left of the formation as Sanders takes the handoff into the middle of the line across the 25 and up near the 27, 28-yard line. I'm going to say it's the 28-yard line, so it is a pickup of 7, 2nd down and 3.
Yeah, when Woodland Hills gets chances, they're doing great in between the tackles of this offense. They're running hard in between the tackles. Either Art Tompkins or Miles Sanders are doing a great job, but consistency is the key right now for Woodland Hills, their offense.
80 yards on the ground for Miles Sanders. Harry Randall going to keep it this time. Slowing himself down, and a flag came along the near sideline. There wasn't much contact, and then things get a little chippy after the play. And Fred, we just see so much hesitation in Harry Randall's game. He was so explosive a season ago, but that does not seem to be the case thus far this year.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if the injury is kind of holding him back of being that explosive. He looks just hesitant when he's a ball runner now, as opposed to last year when you put the ball in his hands, who knows what's going to happen.
So it's an illegal block in the back against Woodland Hills. Like I said, not much contact, but just enough for the official to throw the flag. I think he almost anticipated the block. So Woodland Hills goes from a 2nd down and 3 with the ball at their own 28 back to the 14-yard line, a loss of 14 on that play. And now I think the officials are going to meet for a moment to make sure that this was marked off properly. If the flag was thrown at the 24, it's 10 yards from the spot, and that's where it should be. But a costly penalty again. So it's Woodland Hills ball, 2nd down and 17 with the ball at their own 14. Shotgun formation. Randall looks right the whole way. He's going to take off running up the middle. And he is hit hard as he crosses the 15 up towards the 20-yard line. A big hit there by Michael Moore, on the hit. And a pickup on that play of just about 4 yards brings up 3rd down and 13.
Yeah, when Harry Randall dropped back, he didn't see anybody open. So, as any good quarterback would do, he tucked the ball and started to run. But unfortunately, after a 4-yard gain, he was met very rudely by Michael Moore.
And Woodland Hills, I think, is asking for a timeout here as their offense continues to sputter. 6:02 to play in the 3rd quarter. It's McKeesport 20, Woodland Hills 13. You're tuned in to the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network. .602 to play in the 3rd quarter. McKeesport leading Woodland Hills 20-13. Woodland Hills faces a 3rd and 13 from their own 18-yard line. Harry Randall with a sidecar to his left. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the near boundary left. Randall has time. Steps up, throws. A flag is thrown as the pass intended for Art Tompkins is short. And I think Woodland Hills is going to get called for holding. And it looks like James Eggleston again having a hard time trying to walk off a little injury. Now that's Amon Baldwin Youngblood who is shaken up a bit. And the penalties against McKeesport. I think illegal hands to the face may have been the call. Wait for Bill Heidkamp for the official call. And the penalty is a personal foul, face mask against McKeesport. And that penalty will give Woodland Hills a first down.
And McKeesport's been giving Woodland Hills plenty of opportunities to get themselves back in this game, especially with a face mask and an automatic first down. They just really need to take advantage of, the situations that McKeesport's giving them, and just take advantage of it to their fullest.
1st and 10 at the 33. Handoff will go, I believe, to Sanders. He'll carry it across the 35 to the 36-yard line. A couple of blue jerseys in there to make the tackle. Pick up 3, and it's 2nd down and 7. And Woodland Hills can't make mistakes. They made a lot of mistakes on 2nd down that have caused a lot of 3rd and longs.
Yeah, and they need to take a play. They need to take a bite out of the playbook of McKeesport and just keep the ball in their possession. Ball control is the key right now, especially in the second half.
You can hear the wind is picking up here on this late summer afternoon in western Pennsylvania. 5:20 on a rolling clock in the 3rd quarter. 2 receivers to either side. Long count for Randall as he'll motion a man into the formation. And I think Woodland Hills is guilty of a delay. Evan Price was the motion man. I think he was late coming into the motion, and that may have forced Woodland Hills to lose 5 yards. And again, Fred, there it is on 2nd down, a mistake that costs yardage. Doesn't cost them the down, fortunately, but it does cost them 5 yards, and instead of 2nd down and 7, it's now 2nd down and 12.
Yeah, that actually has been a recurring theme over the past couple years since I've done broadcasting with you during Woodland Hills games. Is they do great on 1st down, seem to dilly-dally a little bit on 2nd down, and then 3rd and 4th down, they seem to make magic happen.
Well, sense of urgency is there on 1st, 3rd, and 4th. 2nd is the lull, as we see Sanders motion into the formation. He'll take it to the far sideline, 30, 35, and to the 37-yard line.
Sanders on the carry.
So we are back to just about where we were before the penalty. As the ball initially was spotted near the 37, it's pushed back to the 36. So another pickup of 5 for Miles Sanders brings up 3rd down and 7.
Pick up 5, lose 5, pick up 5, lose 5. Right now, Woodland Hills is just doing a good job of utilizing Sanders, trying to get him as many carries as they possibly can. It's going to tire him out in the later on in the 4th quarter, but he's young, he's a sophomore, he's got he should have fresh legs. We'll just see what they can do with him a little bit more as they put him in a slot position.
Trips to the near side left, and another delay of game. This is unreal. So instead of 3rd and 7, it's 3rd and 12. Woodland Hills needs to get the play in faster. Harry Randall needs to call the play faster. And the Wolverines need to get to the line of scrimmage faster and snap the ball faster.
Yeah, this is a little disappointing as a Woodland Hills, fan and alum. Things like this really can't happen. You need to have that next play already ready to go, and the person, whoever is bringing in the play, needs to be right next to Coach Novak.
Trips to the left, 1 receiver to the far boundary right. Play action. Sanders, or rather it's Randall stepping up into the pocket. He'll be hit, he'll be wrapped, and he'll be sacked. He just does not make quick decisions at this point, Freddie. He looked to the near side. There was nothing there. Run the football.
And that's normally what he would do. I mean, with it, like I said, when you put the ball in his hands in open space, he's probably the most electrifying person in the Woodville. When he's dropped back trying to make decisions, and if he doesn't read anything initially, just tuck the ball and run. But he seems to be running into tacklers as opposed to trying to find free space.
6 carries, minus 11 yards for Harry Randall. Randall, the punter, steps to his right. He'll boot it away. Spiraling punt, sky high. It'll knuckle a bit now. Take a Woodland Hills bounce at the 41 and continue to carry deeper into McKeesport territory. And we'll be down right around the 37-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for McKeesport And now Woodland Hills has to lean on their defense again to keep the Tigers at bay.
McKeesport Tigers will take over. First and 10.
The last 3 offensive drives for Woodland Hills have been a punt. Last 4 drives for the Wolverines. A punt. They finished the half. A turnover on downs, and now a punt.
It's mind-boggling to me as well, Adam, because I'm not exactly sure, what's going on that sideline with this offense. You have so many weapons. You have, the offensive line is gelling. They're young, but they're physical and they're big. There's no reason why Woodland Hills should not be putting up points at will against any team.
Woodland Hills had the ball for 4 minutes and 27 seconds and couldn't do anything with it. Now McKeesport with the football, and into open field goes Sean Lou Gilmore, and Gilmore picking up about 7 yards up towards the 45-yard line. They're going to mark it actually just inside of the 45, near the 44. It's second down, a long 2, short 3. Gilmore, fourth carry of the game, now has 23 yards.
The only positive I can come out of this Woodland Hills offensive situation in the second half is that they've actually held the ball for a good bit of the third quarter, giving their defense a little bit of a rest.
Gilmore will take the handoff again, and he is hit hard in the backfield. Tackle on the play made by Jordan Lee. Also in on the tackle for Woodland Hills is appeared to be 52. I believe Anthony Hudson-Pillar. Tough to tell from this angle who it was exactly. No, I'm sorry, it was 51, Kevin Solomon, the stout defensive tackle. And a flag will fly for too many men on the field. 12 men out there for McKeesport. That's going to cost them 5 yards. Bill Heidkamp threw the flag after counting everybody.
And I can hear Coach Smith from the press box, and he's a good 30 yards away from us. He is very irate right now.
So it's now third down and 7 for McKeesport with the ball at the 41-yard line. The line to gain is the 47-yard line. That was only a 4-yard penalty. Ooh, big hit there. The ball carrier is Michael Moore, and Moore is hit as he crosses the line of scrimmage and driven back by a gang of white jerseys. Moore does not go down, but they'll blow the whistle as his forward progress is stopped at the 43-yard line. Fred, that ball before that third down play was inside of the 45. After the illegal substitution penalty, they only moved the ball back from just inside the 45 to the 41.
Does anything surprise you with these referees nowadays, Adam?
No.
You and I have been a very, very harsh critic of these officials over the past couple of years of the things that we've seen.
Pickup of 2 for Michael Moore. A flag flies as the ball goes sky high, end over end, and takes a Woodland Hills bounce back towards the McKeesport side of the field, and it will be down at the Woodland Hills 44. And I think McKeesport may be guilty of an illegal substitution, or excuse me, an illegal formation. And it is a procedural penalty, probably a formation issue. So will Woodland Hills take great field position at the 44, or will they force McKeesport to re-kick? George Novak has a decision to make. And the penalty is declined by Woodland Hills. Woodland Hills is going to take it at the 44. So Woodland Hills just 56 yards away from pay dirt and trying to tie this football game up.
Yeah, I was wondering what Coach Novak might do. I mean, you have good field position. It wasn't a great punt. It was a good snap, not a great punt. You set themselves up, with very good field position right now. And good call. I'm going to say it was a good call by Coach Novak.
It was a net punt of just 12 yards. So 51 seconds to go in the third quarter. It is Woodland Hills with the ball at their own 44. Pistol formation with Tompkins behind Randall this time. Randall's going to run to the near sideline, across the 45, up towards the 50-yard line, and a flag comes in from a mile away.
Flag down by Brown Hatcher. Flag on the play.
And these officials have certainly become flag happy.
I'm not sure if that's going to be a holding call, probably from one of the pulling offensive linemen.
It's going to be a chop block against Woodland Hills, a legal block below the waist against the Wolverines. So instead of a 6-yard pickup for Woodland Hills, or a 4-yard pickup for the Wolverines to the 48-yard line, they're going to be marched back to the 33-yard line, a 15-yard loss on the play, and again, a penalty cost Woodland Hills valuable yardage once they get something going.
Yeah, they can't shoot themselves in the foot at this point in the ball game. Less than a minute to go in the third quarter. You know, you have the entire fourth quarter, but you know the urgency has to be there right now to get some points on the board.
35 seconds to play in the third quarter. Neither team has scored as of yet in this third frame. It's 20-13 McKeesport on top of Woodland Hills. Sidecars to either side of Randall. Snap true. Randall has a while to throw. Retreats. Tosses across the middle, and it's nearly intercepted. Leaping up and grabbing a hold of the football, at least momentarily, was Kalik Hudson. And Hudson couldn't hang on to it as one of the Woodland Hills receivers had to come from behind and break it up. And it's now 2nd down and 21.
Yeah, someone needs to tell Harry Randall that when you're rolling to your right or left, throwing back across the field is not a safe play at any time. If you're in a situation where you don't feel anyone's open, just take the ball and run. That's what you're best at. That's what you do. That's what you've done over the career of your time with Woodland Hills, is you are a runner. Tuck the ball and run.
2 receivers to either side. And a timeout is going to be called as Coach Novak wants to talk things over here. Just under 20 seconds to play, and the Wolverines will use a timeout in the third quarter. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Tigers. Woodland Hills down by 7 right here on the Woodland Hills Football Network. Just under 20 seconds to go in the third quarter. McKeesport still leads Woodland Hills by 7. 20-13, the Wolverines face a 2nd down and 21 from their own 33-yard line. An incomplete pass on 1st down after an illegal block below the waist against the Wolverines pushed them back to this 33-yard line. Sidecars to either side of Randall. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the near boundary left. Long count for Randall. And he will roll to his right. Has some room, now throws the football. It is complete to Art Tompkins. And Tompkins across the 45 to the 47-yard line. And this is just about where the football was before that illegal block below the waist against the Wolverines. So now Woodland Hills with a 3rd and much more manageable 7 yards to go.
And that was a good call by Coach Novak of getting Harry Randall out on a rollout pass and then putting him to another decision. He found Art Tompkins, but also he had a chance to run because there was a lot of green field in front of him if he wanted to take off and go.
Harry Randall now with 70 yards in the air after that 14-yard completion to Art Tompkins. Snap low. Randall rolls to the near side. Throws in and out of the hands of Miles Sanders. Sanders had to step away from the defender. Had he held on to that one, it would have been a 1st down, but there's a flag back behind the line of scrimmage. And I think it's against Woodland Hills. Holding against Wolverines. And it's going to be 10 yards from the spot, and I think McKeesport may decline this one as Woodland Hills would face a 4th and 7. And the Tigers will decline the penalty. And the Wolverines face this 4th and 7 from the 47-yard line. Randall will stay on to punt. We saw Tompkins earlier in this third quarter attempt a fake punt. And he was a yard shy of converting. Two Tigers back deep to return. The snap a little high. Randall hesitates, sees some room to the near side. He does not have close to 1st down yardage, though, as coming from behind is Carlos Hudson. And Hudson just had such closing speed. He came out of nowhere to bring down Randall for no gain, and it's another turnover on down.
Yeah, I believe Hudson was actually one of the gunners on the end of the line going up the field to block the punt, but he saw that Harry Randall was about to take off and run and just shifted his field and just made another tremendous play for McKeesport.
And that's the end of the third quarter. We will head to the 4th frame. McKeesport will have the ball with great field position at the Woodland Hills 47-yard line. Your score through 3. McKeesport 20, Woodland Hills 13. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network. And we welcome you back to McKeesport, Pennsylvania. We are at Weiger-Schaefer Memorial Stadium on the campus of McKeesport High School. And right now, the host McKeesport Tigers looking for the upset against the Woodland Hills Wolverines. The Wolverines favored heading into this one. But McKeesport is certainly making moves under George Smith. And as we head into the fourth quarter, Woodland Hills with a 7-point deficit, and McKeesport with the ball in great field position at the Woodland Hills 47.
Yeah, and this is a tale of two different Wolverine teams, you know, coming off of last year, the great job that they did, coming into this year being very highly praised. And right now, they just have not shown us, the fans, you know, media, anybody, anything that they are capable of doing right now.
Preseason accolades not being lived up to at this point. Queen, the ball carrier, on the option to the near side, and he is brought down near the near hash at the 44-yard line. A pickup of 3 yards. Tackle on the play made by Devin Nixon.
And Woodland Hills right now is just going to have to lean on their defense to get them the ball back, and hope that, you know, McKeesport makes some mistakes, whether it be in special teams or, you know, maybe they can get something, a mistake made by Queen while he's trying to throw the ball.
Queen with 1 yard on 2 carries here in the second half. He'll step under center. Wings to either side as he sends a man in motion from left to right. The handoff will go to the man up the middle, and Carlos Hudson. Hudson driving his way forward inside of the 40 to the 39-yard line. It'll bring up third down and short.
Woodland Hills needs a really big stop right now against this McKeesport offense, just so they can put them into a decision whether they want to go for it or punt. You know, with that much, you know, if they can get a good tackle for loss, you know, hopefully McKeesport will bring out the punt team and get Woodland Hills offense back on the field.
Carlos Hudson, the leading rusher today for the McKeesport Tigers with 48 yards. Queen steps back, looks right, has a man wide open along that far boundary with the reception, D'Angelo Fields, and Fields is finally brought down at the 15-yard line, and a Wolverine is shaken up right around that 15 as well. And Fields is also shaken up as he runs to the near sideline, as I think he may have sustained some sort of cramp. With this sort of heat, cramping is expected, and let's hope that's all it is for the injured players on both sides of the football. 10:35 to play in regulation. It's McKeesport 20 and Woodland Hills 13. We are going to take a timeout. Folks on the TV side, we'll be back when the injury timeout ends. On the radio side, we'll be right back after this 30-second break. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network. To the line of scrimmage, Chris David, the Wolverine that was shaken up, was able to get up to his feet after a lengthy injury timeout and walk to the sideline. That's good news for the Wolverines. Also, the injured McKeesport Tiger, D'Angelo Fields, was able to walk to the near sideline under his own power as well. So both injured players, nothing serious, at least at this point. Queen under center, first down and 10 at the 16-yard line. And into the end zone will go Michael Moore. Moore over left tackle, found big room, and into the end zone he went. And Woodland Hills right now being doubled up by the McKeesport Tigers, 26-13.
Yeah, there was nothing fancy about that play. The fullback for McKeesport, Michael Moore, just took the ball. There was just nobody in front of him. The offensive line of McKeesport did a great job of just clearing a lane for him, and there was no looking back once he got through the first wave of players.
Second touchdown of the day for Michael Moore. He's now the leading rusher for the Tigers with 58 yards, including 3 here in the second half. 3 carries in total, or 12 carries in total, rather, for Moore with those 58 yards. The snap is down, the hold is down, and that kick is up and in for Tywan Smith. And Woodland Hills now trails the McKeesport Tigers 27-13 with 10:21 to go in the fourth quarter. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network. And we welcome you back to Weiger-Schaefer Memorial Stadium, where McKeesport has opened up a significant 14-point advantage over our Woodland Hills Wolverines, 27-13. A 16-yard touchdown run for Michael Moore, his second TD of the game. And he was basically unscathed for that 16 yards into the end zone.
Yeah, he walked right through the heart of the Woodland Hills defense. You know, second wave of linebackers were non-existent because of the offensive line by McKeesport, just clearing a path for Michael Moore.
So it's 27-13, McKeesport with the advantage. Woodland Hills needs to score right now. Taiwan Smith boots into this one. Tompkins along the near sideline, catches it at the 15. Takes it back to the middle of the formation. Drives his way forward to the 20 before being driven back by some blue jerseys. Looked like a Tiger. Carlos Hudson was grabbing the face mask. No flags fly. It'll just be 1st and 10 for the Wolverines at the 20-yard line, 80 yards away from pay dirt. Well, Woodland Hills has had opportunities with great field position. Now they've got a long way to go to try to make this a ball game.
Yeah, their sense of urgency now needs to become a sense of desperation because, you know, you never want to start a season 0-2. I mean, it's not the end of the world if you do, but you want to gain some momentum actually as you're going into the bulk of your conference schedule.
So it's 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills at the 20-yard line. Wolverines out of the huddle. Sidecars to either side of Randall in Nigel Henderson and Miles Sanders. Two receivers right, handoff. Sanders has some room over right guard momentarily, but he's swallowed up. After a moment, a pickup of 2 for Sanders before being driven back. In on the tackle is Jason Chavis, amongst others.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why Woodland Hills is lagging in terms of play preparation and getting the play in is quarterback Harry Randall is going over to Coach Novak to get the play and then come back to the huddle. And if you're on the other side of the field, that's a good 30, 35-yard jaunt that you have to make just to get the play.
Henderson, the setback to the left of Randall. 2 receivers to either side. Randall off of play action, straight drop back, steps up into the pocket. Has some room now in front of him. Across the 30, the 35, the 40-yard line to the far boundary, 42 and out of bounds he will go. A big pickup there for Harry Randall. A pickup of 20 yards, and it's 1st and 10 for the Wolverines.
Yeah, the one thing I have noticed that Harry Randall actually has lost a step in terms of how fast he used to be. I know that's attributed to the knee injury, and I know that's attributed to the fact that he's coming back from a knee injury and trying to get used to coming into football game shape.
Well, you have to remember, just 2 weeks ago, yesterday, he was cleared for contact. So that shows how slow he is in his recovery process. Snap low, Randall scoops it up, steps forward, tries to pull himself away from a McKeesport Tiger to no avail. The tackle made by Michael Moore. And a loss of 3 on the play brings up 2nd down and actually make it 2nd down and 14.
I don't understand why a player just came onto the field for the Wolverines, but yet again, Harry Randall is going over to the sideline to get the play from Coach Novak. That's taking way too much time off the clock.
And another negative rush for Harry Randall. He has a ton of carries thus far today, including a couple of sacks for just 9 total yards. 8:45 to go. Woodland Hills is down 14. Randall on the end around. Tompkins lost the football. Scoops it up, comes to the near side, will pick it up, and is brought down at the 25-yard line. Well, everything Harry Randall did to gain 20 yards to the 42 pretty much has been negated as Woodland Hills has the ball back at their own 25 now.
It was a nice idea, poorly executed play by Woodland Hills. I don't know if Harry Randall actually handed the ball to Art or if he kind of tossed it to him. Either way, I mean, Woodland Hills just needs to secure the ball. I mean, this is, getting a little bit out of control in terms of the mistakes that they're making this late in the game at key moments in the game.
13-yard loss, 3rd and 27, ball into 25. Randall with trips to the right. Play action. Randall steps up, throws, intended for Trevon Mathis. 2 players converge on the ball. Mathis wanted a flag, but there should not have been one as he and Kalik Hudson met at the football at the same time, and the punt unit has to come on for the Wolverines.
And that's sloppy execution by Woodland Hills. There were 4 wide receivers within 5 yards, 10 yards of each other. Certainly when you're running routes, you need to space yourself to give your quarterback a little bit more of a target to throw to.
7:46 to go in regulation. Woodland Hills down 14. Harry Randall stands back as the punter. You have to assume he's not going to punt this one, or fake this one. Instead, he will punt it sky high. Not a beaut, to say the least, but it takes a very nice Woodland Hills bounce into McKeesport territory that will start to roll back towards the Wolverine side of the field, and that's where Dejon Brown will down it at the 49-yard line. So it'll be 1st and 10 for McKeesport at the 49-yard line, just 51 yards away from pay dirt. Not much of a change in field position there with that punt. 7:32 to go. In regulation, it'll be McKeesport ball at the 49. The last McKeesport drive started at the Woodland Hills 47-yard line. Woodland Hills offense has stagnated, to say the least, since their final drive of the first quarter. Woodland Hills has had the ball punted, end of the half, turnover on downs, punt, turnover on downs, and a punt. And the ball carrier this time is Reginald Smith, taking the handoff from Queen, and Smith carries it into Woodland Hills territory for a pickup of 3. And it will be 2nd down and 8 as Nixon makes the tackle.
And these are the kind of situations the McKeesport Tigers look for late in a ball game. You got a good lead, and they're experts at running out the clock and ball control.
Well, we saw that in the first half. That is for sure. High backfield behind Queen. One receiver to the near side left. Queen steps under center. Clock rolling down under 7 minutes. Handoff will go to Gilmore, and Gilmore is hit at the line of scrimmage by Kevin Solomon, and then finally brought down after he searches his way forward for a pickup of 2, and it is 3rd down and 5. Line to gain is the 41. 25 yards on 5 carries today for Gilmore. Not a bad average of 5 yards per carry. Tigers look to the near sideline, have the play called in. Queen will step under center with an eye backfield behind him, receivers to either side, and a wing to his right-hand side. I think McKeesport's going to use a timeout here as the play clock was winding down. It had just hit 0 when they called for the timeout. And McKeesport uses their first. They have 2 remaining. Woodland Hills with 1 timeout left. 6:07 to play in regulation. Woodland Hills trailing McKeesport 27-13. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network. .607 to play. Woodland Hills down by 14, 27-13. McKeesport with the ball at the Woodland Hills 46-yard line. It's 3rd down and 5 for the Tigers. And this is a very crucial 3rd down for the Woodland Hills defense. Queen stepping under center, wings to either side. He'll send a man in motion from left to right. Fakes the pitch, does Queen. He'll step back, now step up into the pocket. He'll be wrapped, and he will be brought down from behind. On the play for Woodland Hills, Wilford Clark, the sophomore defensive lineman, makes a play 1 yard deep in the backfield. A loss of 1 brings up 4th down and 6.
And this is the first time in a long time that I can remember that McKeesport hasn't done anything on 3rd down. Woodland Hills did a great job in coverage against the Tigers, and then Wilford Clark just fought his way through a couple of blockers to get to the quarterback.
So you're saying it's a coverage sack for Clark?
I'll give it that.
Long time for the punt unit to come on, but there's still 10 seconds to go on the play clock as Tywan Smith awaits the snap. He'll step to his right, boot it away. It'll carry to the far sideline. Not much leg on it as it carries to that far boundary and out of bounds inside of the 35 to the 34. That is just a 13-yard punt for Tywan Smith.
And these are the situations that Woodland Hills really needs to take advantage of, especially in their kicking game. Even though Tywan Smith has done a great job in terms of point after attempts, his punting has been lackluster, to say the least.
And it will be Woodland Hills football at their own 35. Shotgun formation, trips to the right, sidecar to the right of Randall as well. That is Sanders. Randall looks to his left, throws to his left. The pass intended for Trayvon Mathis is incomplete. Mathis has got to step away from Justice Smith, but couldn't hang on to the football, and that incomplete pass brings up 2nd down and 10.
I think what Woodland Hills is going to do over the next 5 minutes and 10 seconds of this ball game is just keep running trips to the right and then leave Mathis one-on-one with, whatever cornerback they decide to put on him.
Woodland Hills just 2 of 6 in the air here in the second half, and they are 5 of 11 on the afternoon. 2nd and 10. Ball at the 35. Randall in the shotgun with trips to the right. Low snap. Randall gathers it in. Runs to the near sideline. Throws. It is complete to Heaven Price, and Price into McKeesport territory. They're going to mark him down at the 47-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Wolverines. A pickup on that play of 18 yards.
And that was a good job of them Woodland Hills putting Harry Randall rolling to his right, which is, his throwing side. And it was a good job of the wide receivers of getting some space against their defenders and getting open for Harry Randall.
88 yards in the air for Harry Randall. Just under 5 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. Woodland Hills down by 14. Woodland Hills shifts the formation as there's trips to the left now. One receiver to the near side right. Randall in the shotgun, rolling to his left. Steps up into the pocket. He'll be hit, and he'll be wrapped, and he will be brought down from behind by Michael Moore. And that is a loss of 4 to the Woodland Hills 49. And again, Woodland Hills makes a big play, then makes a mistake.
Yeah, but most of that play is credited towards Michael Moore because he did a great job of fighting off his tackle because he lines up in a defensive end position, coming all the way from the other side of the field. There was some good pressure up the middle to force Randall to scramble, but he didn't get very far because he had number 24 on his back.
Clock winding down to 4 minutes to go in regulation. Woodland Hills still down by 14. Not a ton of urgency by the visitors at this point. Snap to the left. Randall runs to his left. Throws to that far boundary. The pass is intended for Trevon Mathis, and a flag will come in from the back judge as it seemed like the defensive back got there a hair early, and that's going to be early enough to earn a flag from the back judge along that far boundary. And the officials talking things right over right now, and it is pass interference against the McKeesport Tigers.
If Woodland Hills is going to do anything right now, they're going to need some breaks in this game. They're going to need some penalties. They're going to need to make some big plays if they're going to at least try to get themselves back into this game and make it exciting towards the end.
Randall's throw to the far sideline was incomplete, and I still couldn't see on the television replay who got there to be guilty of that pass interference. But either way, it's going to be 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills with the ball at the 36-yard line of the McKeesport Tigers. Wolverines out of the huddle. Trips to the right, one receiver to the far boundary left. Nigel Henderson stands in as the personal protector for Harry Randall. Snap low. Randall rolls to his right, pumps, throws, has Miles Sanders at the 5, into the end zone for a Woodland Hills touchdown. Sanders sagged open behind Allen Wright, bobbled the catch it for a moment, and then ran into the end zone for a Woody High TD, and the Wolverines are 8 points away from a tie ball game.
Once again, Harry Randall rolled to his right, but was lucky enough to find an open receiver in the middle of the field and made a strong throw to get that ball to Miles Sanders in for the touchdown.
And the Tiger is slow to get up, as that was Allen Wright, who could not make the tackle on Sanders after the bobbled catch. And I think Wright had a little bit of a cramp, and he's slow to come to the near sideline. And Donald Cassidy will come on to attempt the PAT, but a big 36-yard touchdown pass there from Randall to Miles Sanders has made this a lot more interesting here in McKeesport. A big PAT attempt for Cassidy out of the hold of Randall. The long snapper is Rooney. And the snap is true. The hold is down. That kick is up. And that kick is good. And with 3 minutes and 41 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter, we have a ball game on our hands. It's McKeesport 27, Woodland Hills 20. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network. 3:41 to play in regulation. It's McKeesport 27 and the Woodland Hills Wolverines 28. 36-yard touchdown pass from Miles Sanders, or rather from Harry Randall to Miles Sanders, has all of a sudden made this a ball game. And you have to wonder if Woodland Hills is going to go for the onside kick here, or are they going to kick it deep and rely on their defense? Their defense has been pretty good thus far here in the second half.
Yeah, the bad thing about it is Woodland Hills only has one timeout left. With McKeesport being very efficient in ball control, Woodland Hills is going to need 3 quick stops. Probably burn that timeout on 3rd down to give them a chance to get the ball back and get the ball into the end zone.
Second passing touchdown of the day for Harry Randall, and the second touchdown of the day in total for Miles Sanders. Well, Randall hasn't been great on the ground today, but in the air, pretty efficient. Cassidy on to kick it off, and it will be an onside kick, and it will be caught. A nice job by Joseph Krim. Krim, offensive tackle, 5 feet 10 inches tall, 236 pounds. A big body out there, but he held the football like a champ. And it's 1st and 10 for McKeesport at the 49-yard line. And the Woodland Hills defense needs to have a gut check right now.
3 quick stops, get the ball back on a punt. Hopefully, if we can get the ball back, or if the Woodland Hills Wolverines can get the ball back on a punt, maybe there might be a mistake in handling of the snap or a block punt.
Pretty good offensive drive for the Wolverines. Last time they had the ball, just a minute and a half off the clock, scoring that 36-yard TD. Wings to either side as Queen will hand off. The fullback is the ball carrier, Michael Moore, and he continues to impress as he picks up about 6 yards into Woodland Hills territory to the 45.
Yeah, and Michael Moore is the fullback in this flexbone offense, which means he takes a pounding every play. Because usually the ball's going into his belly. It's either staying in or coming out. But if it's coming out, he's still getting hit by Woodland Hills Wolverine defenders.
Diamond Johnson, linebacker for the Wolverines, slow to get to his feet. I think they're going to need to maybe just stretch him out a bit as Joe Schaffo comes out to check on Diamond Johnson. Looking forward, Fred, to Woodland Hills returns to conference action a week from yesterday, 6 days from today, as they will take on the Bethel Park Blackhawks. It'll be a road game, the first road game in conference for the Wolverines, as they take on the Bethel Park Blackhawks, a team that Woodland Hills handled pretty easily a season ago. Woodland Hills has had a tough time with their first 2 opponents. We don't know an outcome of this one yet, but with a loss last week against Upper St. Clair and what looks like it could be a loss here against McKeesport, the Wolverines need to bounce back and try to get a big win in conference against Bethel Park next week.
Yeah, and they can't take this Bethel Park team lightly. Bethel Park has started off the season 2-0. They're behind a sophomore quarterback and Levi Matheny, who's the coach's son. So he's got a pretty good command of his offense. Woodland Hills can't take that team lightly. That
is for sure, especially considering they already are 2-0, like you said, and got a big win in conference last night against Mount Lebanon. It is 2nd down and 4 for McKeesport at the 45. Michael Moore, leading rusher for McKeesport, 2 touchdowns today to go along with 64 yards. 3:09 as the clock continues to roll. McKeesport going to stay at this line of scrimmage for a while, and that's tough for offensive linemen to do. And as finally, Queen steps under. And the play will come to the near side on the counter. Bouncing off of tacklers to the near boundary comes number 2, Reginald Smith. Smith has first down yardage and more. The Wolverines sent wave after wave at Smith and couldn't bring him down. He bounced to the near sideline, and that was a crucial play for the Tigers.
Yeah, the one thing that was missing in those waves were arm tackles. Wolverines were just throwing bodies at him. They weren't wrapping up. They weren't trying to bring him to the ground. They were trying to look for the knockout blow to get the ball loose. But these these McKeesport Tiger running backs are trained and conditioned to hold on to the ball all the time.
Pickup of 8 on that play, 16 yards on 4 carries today for Reginald Smith. Smith will be the tailback in the eye as Queen steps under center. 2:20 to go as the clock rolls here in the second quarter. Handoff, Michael Moore. Inside of the 30 to the 29-yard line. A pickup of 8 yards and close to another McKeesport first down.
Yeah, again, nothing fancy about what McKeesport's doing. Is they're just taking the ball, running right up the field. They're finding gaps in the Woodland Hills defense and just taking advantage of everything they're given.
Woodland Hills defense has been asked to do a lot, to say the least, here in the second half. 10 seconds to go on the play clock. 1 minute and 45 seconds to go in regulation. McKeesport with the football at the Woodland Hills 29. Queen under center. Counter coming to the near side. Handoff goes to Reginald Smith. He's into open field inside of the 10, the 5, and across the goal line and into the end zone for a McKeesport touchdown. And with 91 seconds to play, that may be the nail in the coffin for the Wolverines.
Yeah, and it wasn't anything fancy about what they did on that play either. They just ran a straight counter. A couple linemen were pulling. Running back just followed his blocks right into the end zone.
29-yard touchdown run. And Woodland Hills is down 13. A PAT will make it 14. On to attempt the PAT is Taiwan Smith. A lot of the McKeesport fans making their way out of the stadium. They feel it is over. And the PAT up and no good for Taiwan Smith. The second failed PAT of the game for McKeesport, but with a minute and 31 to go, Woodland Hills has a big uphill battle, down by 13. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network. And we welcome you back to Weiger Schaefer Memorial Stadium in McKeesport, Pennsylvania, where the McKeesport Tigers have opened up a 13-point lead on the Woodland Hills Wolverines. This is the second time here in the second half we've seen Woodland Hills face a 2-score deficit, and time may be running out on the Wolverines with 91 seconds to play.
Yeah, unless they have a bag of miracles hidden somewhere, it's going to be tough for Woodland Hills to get, come close to battling these Tigers for, the lead in this game with such little time left.
Such a deep roster of talented backs do the McKeesport Tigers have. As Reginald Smith with that touchdown, his first of the game, a 29-yarder. Ball to the far sideline. It'll roll out of bounds just inside of the 30, or inside of the 40 rather. At the 37, it'll be 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills at the 37. They've got to score quick, get that kickoff team on, and try to keep it out of the hands of the McKeesport Tigers. Try to get it back on the onside kick, but that's in the future. The issue now, try to score.
Yeah, with as many weapons as Woodland Hills has on offense, it could happen. They do have a quick strike offense, with Harry Randall, Trayvon Mathis, Miles Sanders, Art Tompkins. All and all of those guys have big play capability and can break one for a long run, long catch, long pass at any time.
Reginald Smith, incidentally, with that carry, now has 5 carries for 45 yards. Most importantly, that touchdown of 29. Snap low to the near side. Comes Randall. He nearly lost the football as he was sacked from behind. I think he was trying to dump it off to Nigel Henderson, but coming from behind and bringing him down is Jawan Hill. And Woodland Hills taken all the way back to the 26-yard line. And the Wolverines are going to use their final timeout. And I think we will just try to catch our breath a little bit. With 1 minute and 14 seconds to go, Woodland Hills is down 13 points. You tuned into the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network. Harry Randall, as Woodland Hills has seen their quarterback efficiently throw for 124 yards and a pair of touchdowns. On the other side of the coin, though, running the football, he has over 10 carries for -6 yards. A couple of those are sacks that go into his rushing total. But what we expected from him running the football has not come to fruition.
Yeah, especially when this offense is designed based on his running ability. So far this season it hasn't been there, but that doesn't mean things can't change and he can right the ship.
Harry Randall on a quarterback draw, runs to the far side, 35 to the 40. We just talked about him not running the ball well. He's inside of McKeesport territory to the 43-yard line with 1 minute and 3 seconds to go. The clock will stop until McKeesport sets the football. So 26 is 24, a 24-yard gain, and then you add another 7 on that 31-yard pickup for Harry Randall. All of a sudden, he has 25 yards rushing. And now Randall steps under center, spikes the ball, and that incomplete pass brings up 2nd down and 10 for the Wolverines at the McKeesport 43-yard line. The Wolverines clocked it, and it's 2nd and 10. Well, Woodland Hills right now at least trying to make it a little bit interesting as they are down by 13 points with 58 seconds to go.
And like we said, there's a quick strike offense at any point can get the ball into the end zone. Right now, if very rarely do you see 2 touchdowns in under a minute.
And a timeout is taken, I believe, by the McKeesport Tigers. No, a flag flies, and it's a delay of game against Woodland Hills. Once the ball's set after that spike, the play clock starts running. You've got to be aware of the play clock. 2nd and 15, ball at the 48. Another offensive penalty. Randall drops back, rolls to his left, cuts back to his right. He'll throw down the field. Mathis is there, and Mathis comes down with the football. No, it will lose it on the way down. A nice defensive play there as Trayvon Johnson nearly came down with it. But instead, Trayvon Mathis ripped it away and nearly had the catch. So the incomplete pass brings up 3rd down and 15.
And the one added advantage they have in terms of play clock, Adam, is here at McKeesport, they actually have 2 play clocks in each end zone. So you can see how much time you have to get in and out of the huddle.
3rd and 15, ball at the 48 of the McKeesport Tigers. A lot of fans have headed out here as McKeesport has this 13-point advantage with under a minute to play. Randall, straight drop back, throws across the middle, deep for Art Tompkins. It's batted to the turf by Kalik Hudson, and that'll bring up 4th down and 15.
You know, right now, I mean, it's just desperation time. Might as well just take all 5 of your wide receivers, 5 wide receivers, running back if you want to take a personal protector, and just head down to the end zone and see what you can come up with.
Carlos Hudson cramps up just around the 13-yard line, so the training staff of the McKeesport Tigers is going to come out there and take a look at Hudson. And that'll give Woodland Hills a few extra seconds to talk things over. Well, with 40 seconds to play here, it's not guaranteed that Woodland Hills isn't going to go to 0-2, but it seems fairly likely, and that is bad news for a Woodland Hills team who came into this season across the board pretty much the #1 team in the WPIAL, and a lot of ranking systems had them atop the state rankings. And falling to 0-2 is not where the #1 team in the state should be.
Yeah, and you're right, Adam. They should not be 0-2 at this point, but you know, these teams that they're playing against are preparing for the #1 team in the state, no matter what. When you're posted there at any point during the season, you're going to prepare, you're going to train, you're going to practice a lot harder and prepare yourself for a team like Woodland Hills.
Oh, you know you've got a target on your back when you've been to the WPIAL championship game 9 times, winning 5 of them. You know, you've been to 3 of the last 4 WPIAL finals, winning 1 of those 3. You know, there's a huge target when you're Woodland Hills, and teams prepare for you like it's the Super Bowl.
Or the WPIAL Championship.
Or the WPIAL Championship, as it were. So it's 4th and 15 for Woodland Hills, as finally to his feet comes Carlos Hudson. Hudson with some major league cramps, as it is a supremely warm day out there, especially in the sun. It's a little warm in the press box, but a nice cool breeze has kept us from sweating our you-know-what's off. But as you look out there and that sun continues to shine, it's certainly a significantly different story. Folks all across the Woodland Hills Football Network, don't be too discouraged. History shows that this Woodland Hills football team are slow starters. You know, think back to the first WPIAL championship back in 1996. The Wolverines lost 3 of their first 4 games of that year before going on to ultimately beat North Allegheny twice, who was the #1 team in the state, and win a WPIAL championship.
Yeah, and that was a tough Quad North conference that team had to play through just to get to the WPIAL championship.
So it's 4th and 15. Last chance here for the Wolverines to get a first down and maybe try to score. It's Randall out of the shotgun, straight drop back, has some time. Throws it across the middle, in and out of the hands of Miles Sanders. He cannot hang on to it. The incomplete pass brings up the turnover on downs. And McKeesport will take a knee, and that'll just about do it. And the McKeesport Tigers, on a very special afternoon for McKeesport, gets the win. And as we look down to our right-hand side, some of the young men who have played for George Smith over the years knew the signal for the victory formation, and they were all putting it out there for their current Tiger teammates.
Yeah, that's a great feeling when a team that's being recognized, actually 2 teams that are being recognized, come back and support, you know, the kids that are playing now, because these are the guys that they looked up to as little kids.
Queen takes 2 steps back, takes the knee, and that will be the final play of the football game between 2 old rivals. The good thing is, this football game between 2 old rivals doesn't mean much for conference standings, but it can mean a heck of a lot down the road for playoff seeding.
Yeah, and I mean, like a 0-2 start for Woodland Hills, like we said, isn't the end of the world. This team's going to bounce back. They always do. And we're just going to see what happens to happen next week for them to get themselves to right the ship.
One more time, your final score: McKeesport 33 and Woodland Hills 20. The Wolverines fall to 0-2. The Tigers are now 2-0. Folks all across the Woodland Hills Football Network, we cannot thank you enough for joining us, no matter where you are, whether it's on the radio, on television, or on the internet. It's time to thank some of our hard-working television crew, including our executive producer and director, Larry George III, our broadcast engineer and technical director, Lee Schaefer, our camera operators, Lee Schaefer III, Joe Slick and Lee Schaefer Jr., of course, myself and Fred Guy, and everybody here at the Woodland Hills Football Network. We cannot thank you enough for joining us. Next week, the Wolverines take on the Bethel Park Blackhawks. Kickoff is at 7:30 p.m. Our coverage all across the Woodland Hills Football Network will start at 7:10 p.m. Again, that's next Friday from Bethel Park. One more time, your final score: McKeesport 33, Woodland Hills 20. For my broadcast partner, Fred Guy, and everybody at the Woodland Hills Football Network, we thank you for tuning in to the Wolverines and the Tigers on the Woodland Hills Football Network.